The O.J. Simpson trial captivated the nation, drawing in millions as the shocking details of the case unfolded. Among the most chilling revelations were the findings from Ron Goldman's autopsy report. The report detailed the brutal nature of the injuries he sustained, which included multiple stab wounds to his neck and torso. The sheer violence of the attack left forensic experts and the public alike in disbelief. Additionally, the report indicated defensive wounds on Goldman's hands, suggesting he fought back against his attacker. This evidence painted a harrowing picture of his final moments, raising questions about the circumstances surrounding the murders. The autopsy findings not only shocked the public, but also deeply affected O.J. Simpson's family, who were left grappling with the implications of such a violent crime. The emotional toll on all involved was immense, as the details of the report continued to haunt those connected to the case. As the trial progressed, the gruesome specifics of Goldman's injuries became a focal point, intensifying the already high stakes of the courtroom drama. The revelations from the autopsy report served to deepen the mystery and tragedy of the events that transpired that fateful night. Meanwhile, the infamous case of O.J. Simpson continues to draw attention with new details about the tragic death of Ron Goldman, one of the victims, surfacing in his autopsy report. The disturbing specifics revealed in the report show the brutality of his murder. Ron Goldman, a 25-year-old waiter, was found brutally murdered outside Nicole Brown Simpson's condominium in Brentwood, California, on June 12, 1994. His autopsy report revealed that Goldman suffered severe injuries, including multiple stab wounds and a severe slash wound to the neck. The report also showed that Goldman's injuries were consistent with a violent and prolonged struggle. The specifics of the report are disturbing and paint a picture of a brutal and violent attack. The case drew widespread attention due to the high-profile nature of the accused, O.J. Simpson, a former NFL player and actor. Simpson was arrested and charged with the murders of Ron Goldman and his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. The highly publicized trial captivated the nation, with many watching the proceedings live on television. The trial was marked by controversy and drama, with the prosecution presenting a wealth of evidence, including DNA analysis and testimony from key witnesses. However, the defense team, led by Robert Shapiro and Robert Kardashian, raised questions about the reliability of the evidence and the possibility of police misconduct. In the end, the jury delivered a verdict of not guilty, acquitting O.J. Simpson of the murders of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. The verdict was met with widespread shock and outrage, with many believing that justice had not been served. Despite his acquittal, O.J. Simpson was later found liable for the murders in a civil trial and was ordered to pay $33.5 million in damages to the victims' families. Simpson's life continued to be marred by controversy, and he was eventually arrested and convicted of armed robbery and kidnapping in 2007. He was sentenced to 33 years in prison and served 9 years before being released on parole in 2017. The case of O.J. Simpson continues to fascinate and horrify people to this day, with many still seeking answers about the events of that fateful night. The new details revealed in Ron Goldman's autopsy report serve as a reminder of the brutality and violence of the crime, and the devastating impact it had on the victims' families. The Goldman family has continued to seek justice and closure in the years since Ron's murder, with his father, Fred Goldman, becoming a vocal advocate for victims' rights. The case has also had a lasting impact on the criminal justice system, with many pointing to it as an example of the need for reform and greater accountability. The legacy of the O.J. Simpson case continues to be felt today, with many still grappling with the implications of the trial and its aftermath. The new details revealed in Ron Goldman's autopsy report serve as a reminder of the enduring impact of this infamous case. One evening in 1994, O.J. Simpson was arrested for the shocking murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman. Earlier that night, Nicole had gone out to eat at a restaurant with friends and family. Later, both she and Ron were found brutally stabbed to death outside her home. The violent nature of the crime horrified the public and drew significant media attention. Following the discovery of the bodies, O.J. Simpson became the prime suspect and was charged with their murders. The ensuing trial captivated the nation, with extensive coverage of the proceedings. Simpson maintained his innocence throughout, and the trial featured numerous dramatic moments, including the infamous car chase that led to his arrest. After a lengthy and highly publicized trial, O.J. Simpson was famously found not guilty on October 3, 1995. This verdict sparked widespread debate and controversy, reflecting deep divisions in American society regarding race, justice, and celebrity culture. Fred Goldman, the father of Ron Goldman, was deeply disappointed with the verdict in the trial surrounding the murders of his son and Nicole Brown Simpson. He felt that justice was not served, leading to a profound sense of loss and frustration. Many people speculated about the nature of the relationship between Ron and Nicole. Some believed they were romantically involved, but this was not the case. It was confirmed that they had only recently become friends. Their connection stemmed from a casual friendship rather than a deeper romantic relationship. Ron had gone to Nicole's house to return a pair of glasses she had left at a restaurant, a simple act that tragically turned into a fatal encounter. Investigators concluded that Ron's death was a sad, unintended consequence of the events that unfolded that night. Fred Goldman's grief was compounded by the feeling that his son was an innocent victim caught in a situation beyond his control. The complexities of the relationships involved and the circumstances surrounding the case left a lasting impact on Fred and shaped his ongoing quest for justice. Although it was clear that Nicole and Ron had been stabbed to death, an autopsy report revealed many shocking details that were not known to the public before. Ronald Lyle Goldman was born on July 2, 1968, in the United States. He grew up in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. His parents divorced in 1974, and he lived with his father, Frederick Goldman, and his younger sister after that. Ron was Jewish and attended Adlai E. Stevenson High School in Lincolnshire, Illinois. He was known for being a friendly and outgoing person. After high school, he spent one semester at Illinois State University, where he wanted to study psychology. He also had an interest in joining the Sigma Nu fraternity, which reflected his desire for social connection and camaraderie. Ron's life was tragically cut short, and the details surrounding his death became a significant part of a highly publicized case that captured the attention of the nation. The autopsy findings added layers of complexity to the investigation, revealing the brutality of the crime and leaving a lasting impact on those who knew him and the public at large. When Ron was 18, his family made a significant move to Southern California, a decision that would shape his young adult life. Accompanying them, he left behind his college pursuits and enrolled in classes at Pierce College in Los Angeles. This new chapter allowed him to explore various interests and hobbies that the vibrant California lifestyle offered. He quickly developed a passion for surfing, spending countless hours riding the waves along the beautiful coastline. The beaches became a second home, where he could enjoy the sun and the ocean. In addition to surfing, Ron discovered a love for beach volleyball, often playing with friends and meeting new people at the sandy courts. Rollerblading also became a favorite pastime, allowing him to glide along the scenic paths of the area. The nightlife in Southern California captivated him as well, and he frequently visited nightclubs, immersing himself in the lively social scene. This period was filled with excitement and adventure as he embraced the freedom and opportunities that came with living in such a dynamic environment. The combination of education, sports, and nightlife created a rich tapestry of experiences that would influence his life for years to come. Before moving to California, O.J. Simpson worked as a camp counselor and dedicated his time to volunteering with children who had cerebral palsy. This experience showed his caring nature and commitment to helping others. Once he relocated to California, he began living independently and took on various jobs to support himself. He worked as an employment headhunter, helping people find jobs that suited their skills. In addition to that, he became a tennis instructor, sharing his love for the sport with others and helping them improve their game. He also worked as a waiter, providing service in restaurants and gaining valuable experience in the hospitality industry. Occasionally, he even modeled for Barry Zeldis, who owned the 9049 store in Brentwood Gardens. These diverse roles allowed him to explore different facets of life while establishing his presence in California. The combination of these jobs reflects his ambition and determination to succeed in a new environment. Before his death, Ron had made significant plans for his future. He had obtained a license to become an emergency medical technician, showing his desire to help others in a critical way. However, he decided not to pursue this path. Instead, he shared his vision with friends about opening a bar or restaurant in the Brentwood area. This idea was not just about food and drinks, it was about creating a unique experience. Ron wanted his venue to be known not by a conventional name, but by the Ankh, an ancient Egyptian symbol of life. This symbol held personal meaning for him, as it matched a tattoo on his shoulder. The Ankh represented his belief in vitality and connection which he hoped to bring to his establishment. Friends were excited about his vision, seeing it as a place where people could gather, enjoy life, and share in a vibrant atmosphere. Ron's idea reflected his creativity and passion for bringing people together in a meaningful way. Ron was eager to learn all aspects of the restaurant and bar business. His friend Jeff Keller shared how Ron sometimes worked as a promoter at a dance club called Trips in Century City. This experience allowed him to dive into the lively world of nightlife and entertainment. He enjoyed the vibrant atmosphere and the excitement of bringing people together for a good time. For Memorial Day, he joined a group of event promoters to organize a party at Renaissance, a club and restaurant located in Santa Monica. This event showcased his ability to plan and promote social gatherings, highlighting his passion for the hospitality industry. Ron's involvement in these ventures demonstrated his enthusiasm and commitment to understanding the dynamics of running successful events. Through these experiences, he gained valuable insights into customer engagement and the importance of creating memorable experiences for guests. Ron's journey in the restaurant and bar scene reflected his desire to connect with people and create enjoyable moments. In 1992, Ron harbored dreams of acting and being on television, which led him to participate in a dating game show called Studs. The show was hosted by Mark DiCarlo and provided a platform for contestants to showcase their personalities and charm in hopes of finding love. Ron's appearance on the show highlighted his aspirations in the entertainment industry and gave him a taste of the limelight. During his life, Ron was involved in a significant relationship with Jackie Bell. They were together for almost 2 years, sharing experiences and building memories. Their bond seemed strong, yet life took an unexpected turn. Tragically, just 3 months before Ron's death, Jackie made the difficult decision to end their relationship. This separation added a layer of complexity to Ron's life during a challenging time. The combination of his aspirations in acting and his relationship with Jackie paints a picture of a man navigating both personal and professional dreams, reflecting the highs and lows that life can bring. In 1989, Nicole Brown Simpson made a critical decision to call the police, leading to the arrest of her then-husband, O.J. Simpson. This marked the 9th time law enforcement had been summoned to their home due to domestic violence incidents. The assault on Nicole during that time could have resulted in Simpson's 9th arrest, highlighting a troubling pattern of abuse. Despite the repeated calls for help, the cycle of violence continued, reflecting a broader issue within society. By 1993, New York City alone recorded approximately 300,000 calls to the police regarding domestic violence. This alarming number underscores that wife-beating is not a hidden problem, as some may suggest. Feminists and advocates have dedicated over 2 decades to raising awareness about domestic abuse, striving to create support systems and shelters for victims. Their tireless efforts have significantly changed how law enforcement approaches these cases. As a result, society now recognizes wife-beating as a serious crime, a shift that marks progress in the fight against domestic violence. Every day, countless women in the United States face the harsh reality of domestic violence with alarming frequency. The issue of wife-beating is a painful reminder of how some men believe they have the right to exert control over women. This belief often manifests in brutal acts of violence, as these men seek to dominate and control their partners. For approximately 4 million women across the country, this is not just a statistic, it is a daily struggle. The statistics reveal that every 15 seconds, a woman experiences domestic violence, a chilling reminder of the prevalence of this issue. This cycle of control and violence can stem from deep-seated beliefs about gender roles and power dynamics in relationships. It highlights a societal problem where many men feel entitled to use force to maintain their dominance, leading to devastating consequences for families and communities. Addressing this issue requires a collective effort to change attitudes and provide support for those affected by such violence, fostering a society where respect and equality prevail. What many people don't understand is that the problem lies with the perpetrator, not the woman. A woman can change everything about herself, becoming stronger and more independent. She can try to escape using any means possible. But if her husband is committed to violence, she cannot guarantee her safety or freedom. Even with the current legal system, victim advocates, and counseling, it is often not enough to keep her safe from his aggression. The cycle of abuse is complex and deeply rooted in power dynamics. No matter how much a woman prepares or seeks help, the responsibility for the violence rests solely on the abuser. Society often places the burden on the victim to change or to find a way out, But this overlooks the fundamental issue of accountability. The fear and control exerted by the abuser can make it nearly impossible for the victim to leave or to feel secure, highlighting the need for a broader understanding of domestic violence. The focus should shift from what the victim can do to protect herself to addressing the behaviors and mindsets of those who choose to inflict harm. The support systems in place must evolve to prioritize the safety and autonomy of the victim while holding perpetrators accountable for their actions. This shift in perspective is crucial for fostering a safer environment for those affected by violence. Stories of domestic violence often face disbelief and judgment from those who hear them. Many people question why victims do not simply leave their abusers. This line of thinking overlooks the harsh reality that leaving an abusive relationship can be incredibly dangerous. In fact, statistics show that more women are killed by their partners after they leave than while they are still living with them. Nicole Simpson, who was married to O.J. Simpson, experienced this tragic reality. Despite finalizing her divorce in 1992, Nicole was not free from the threats and violence that plagued her life. Even after the divorce, O.J. continued to assault her, stalk her, and intimidate her. Nicole was murdered in her own home, a horrifying reminder that the danger does not always end with separation. The fear and control that abusers exert can make leaving seem impossible, trapping victims in a cycle of violence. The tragic fate of Nicole Simpson highlights the complexities and dangers faced by those in abusive relationships. His supposed desire to reconcile hid the terrible reality of her situation, which is the same for every woman who manages to escape but cannot completely disappear. Even after ending her marriage, Nicole Simpson still had to negotiate her safety with the man who was hurting her. The complexities of their relationship were marked by a cycle of love and violence, leaving her in a precarious position. Despite O.J. Simpson's public persona as a charming and talented athlete, the truth of their domestic life was far darker. Nicole faced the constant threat of his anger, which overshadowed any moments of affection. The fear of what he might do loomed over her, dictating her actions and decisions. Many women in similar situations understand this struggle, where leaving does not guarantee freedom. The emotional scars and the need for safety create a haunting reality. Nicole's experience reflects a broader issue faced by countless women, trapped in a web of fear and control, even when they attempt to break free. The facade of reconciliation masks the ongoing danger, illustrating the harsh truth that leaving an abusive relationship is often just the beginning of a new battle for safety and peace. Nicole Simpson had to navigate a complex and often dangerous relationship with her ex-husband. She understood the importance of maintaining peace, knowing that any hint of discontent or threat to his pride could provoke his anger. The dynamics of their relationship were fraught with tension, where her actions were constantly measured against the risk of his potential violence. While it may appear that her behavior directly influenced his reactions, the reality was far more complicated. O.J. Simpson made the choice to express his aggression, whether through threats or physical harm, often without provocation. This understanding weighed heavily on Nicole, as she sought to keep the peace in their interactions. She would often go to great lengths to ensure he felt respected and in control, believing that this approach might prevent outbursts. Despite her efforts, the fear of his unpredictable nature loomed large, forcing her to remain vigilant and cautious in every encounter. The struggle to balance her own well-being with the need to keep him calm was a constant battle, reflecting the complexities of their troubled relationship. The pictures of O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown smiling together after their divorce should have raised alarms for those around them. Many viewed these moments as a sign of possible reconciliation, but in reality, they masked a deeper, more troubling reality. Nicole often tried to maintain a sense of peace, believing it was the best way to navigate her complicated relationship with O.J. Despite the smiles captured in photographs, the truth was that Nicole felt increasingly isolated and vulnerable. She knew that no one else could truly protect her from his unpredictable behavior. The public image they projected stood in stark contrast to the struggles she faced behind closed doors. It was a facade that concealed the tension and fear that defined their interactions. Nicole's efforts to keep things amicable were not just for appearances. They were a desperate attempt to find safety in a situation that felt increasingly dangerous. This dynamic illustrates how misleading appearances can often hide the reality of a person's life, especially when it involves complex emotions and relationships. During the trial concerning the domestic violence Nicole experienced while she was alive, O.J. Simpson's defense team took a unique approach to language. They requested the judge to avoid using certain terms that could frame the narrative in a way they found unfavorable. The defense did not want to use phrases like domestic violence or spousal abuse, which are already considered softer terms for actions that imply severe harm, such as wife beating. They also sought to eliminate more specific terms like battered wife or stalker from the courtroom discussions. This strategy aimed to reshape the perception of the relationship between O.J. Simpson and Nicole, attempting to downplay the severity of the incidents and create a narrative that could be more sympathetic to Simpson. By manipulating the language used in the trial, the defense hoped to influence how the jury and the public viewed the situation, focusing on the nuances of word choice to potentially alter the outcome of the case. The implications of this tactic were significant, as language can profoundly affect perceptions of guilt and innocence, and the defense's insistence on specific terminology highlighted the complexities of legal battles surrounding domestic issues. The choice of words became a crucial element in the courtroom dynamics, impacting both the defense's strategy and the overall narrative surrounding the case. The judge's refusal to alter the language in the court proceedings highlighted his commitment to accurately representing the situation at hand. He understood that precise terminology was crucial in conveying the nature of the events. Despite this, some media outlets chose to modify their language. For instance, on Rivera Live, the term domestic discord began to replace more direct descriptions of the incidents. This shift in language was not just a matter of preference, but reflected a broader trend in how sensitive topics are reported in the media. Interestingly, even the lawyer who had successfully defended William Kennedy Smith against a rape charge adopted this term, which suggests an attempt to frame the narrative in a way that might resonate differently with the audience. Such changes in language can significantly impact public perception and understanding of legal matters, demonstrating the power of words in shaping narratives. The judge's steadfastness contrasted with these media adaptations, underscoring the complexities involved in discussing issues of domestic conflict and legal accountability. Nicole expressed deep fear to her mother just months before her tragic death. She felt constantly watched and followed, saying it didn't matter where she went. He was always there. Whether at the gas station or a shoe store, even while driving, she sensed his presence behind her. These simple yet haunting words of fear, despair, and terror were shared with her friends and documented in her diary through detailed descriptions of the physical attacks she endured. However, these vital insights into her life and struggles were kept from the jury during the trial of the man accused of killing her. The legal system deemed her accounts as hearsay, excluding them as evidence. This exclusion highlights a troubling pattern where the voices of women suffering violence and abuse, particularly from their husbands, are often ignored or dismissed. Nicole's experiences, which might have seemed insignificant during her life, were ultimately rendered unimportant even in death, reflecting a broader issue of how society treats the narratives of women facing domestic violence. 5 days before her tragic death, Nicole Brown Simpson reached out to a shelter for battered women. This call, a desperate plea for help, would not be heard by the jury in the trial that followed. Yet, it highlights the grim reality of her situation. While there would be some evidence of the public attacks she endured at the hands of O.J. Simpson, much of the cruelty she faced occurred behind closed doors. The worst beatings and acts of violence were often unseen, leaving Nicole isolated in her suffering. Only she truly understood the depth of her pain and the terror of her experiences. The public may have witnessed some altercations, but the private torment was far more severe and frequent. The relationship was marked by a cycle of violence that was not only physical but emotional, leaving scars that were invisible to the outside world. Nicole's call to the shelter serves as a haunting reminder of the struggles many face in silence and the tragic consequences that can result from such hidden suffering. To refuse to listen to Nicole Brown Simpson is to refuse to understand what happened to her. Her experience reflects a broader issue that has plagued society for centuries. There was a time when the law, including the FBI and social scientists, did not recognize wife beating as a serious problem in the United States. This lack of acknowledgement contributed to a culture of silence surrounding domestic violence. It took years of advocacy and research for this perception to shift. Eventually, the FBI estimated that a woman is beaten every 15 seconds in the U.S., and the Justice Department reached a similar conclusion in 1984. This change in awareness was gradual, emerging from a frightening silence that allowed men, either by law or societal norms, to abuse their wives without consequence. Nicole's story is emblematic of the struggles faced by many women who suffered in silence, often ignored or disbelieved. The historic disbelief surrounding domestic violence has roots that run deep, and understanding Nicole's experience is vital to acknowledging the broader societal issues at play. The silence that once surrounded these issues must be broken to ensure that the voices of those who suffered are finally heard and validated. Then, with the rise of a strong political movement, women who faced abuse began to find their voices. They started to speak out about their experiences, revealing the identities of those who harmed them. This movement encouraged many to break the silence surrounding domestic violence. Some women chose to flee their situations, seeking refuge from their abusers. Others fought back, and in desperate circumstances, some even took drastic measures to protect themselves. As these stories emerged, society began to pay attention. Social scientists took a closer look at the issue, identifying patterns of injuries and abuse. Experts in the field articulated these findings, providing valuable insights that were often sought after in legal contexts. Despite this progress, the voices of the victims remained marginalized. They were not always taken seriously by society or the legal system. Many victims found that their experiences were not fully believed or validated, and the support they needed from the law was often lacking. This gap highlighted the ongoing struggle for recognition and justice that many women faced in their fight against abuse. In the wake of the tragic deaths of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson, a strong narrative emerged around O.J. Simpson's potential guilty lieutenant, according to a Los Angeles Times article published on June 15, 1994. Just 3 days after Ron's death, it was revealed that Ron had met Nicole only 6 weeks prior to their murders. Their initial encounter occurred when Ron borrowed Nicole's Ferrari, leading to a budding friendship. In the weeks leading up to their deaths, they grew increasingly friendly, sharing coffee and dinner on several occasions. Despite the closeness of their interactions, both police investigations and statements from their friends characterized their relationship as platonic. This detail has fueled speculation and intrigue surrounding the events leading to their deaths, particularly in the context of O.J. Simpson's involvement. The public's perception of the relationships between these individuals has played a significant role in shaping the narrative of guilt surrounding O.J. Simpson. With the evidence and testimonies presented, many believe that the dynamics of these relationships were critical in understanding the tragic circumstances that unfolded. One article revealed an interesting moment between Ron Goldman and his friend Craig Clark. On a day when they met for lunch, Ron borrowed a car that belonged to Nicole Brown. During their conversation, Ron casually mentioned to Craig that it was Nicole's car. However, he did not refer to her as his girlfriend. Instead, he simply described their relationship by saying they were just friends. This detail sheds light on how Ron viewed his connection with Nicole at that time. It suggests that there may have been a level of intimacy or familiarity between them, but Ron chose to characterize their bond in a more casual manner. This interaction between Ron and Craig highlights the nuances of relationships and how individuals choose to define them. The choice of words can often reflect the complexities of personal connections, especially in situations where feelings and social perceptions are involved. Such moments can reveal much about the dynamics at play in people's lives, and this particular conversation adds a layer of understanding to Ron's relationship with Nicole. The simplicity of Ron's description contrasts with the later events that would unfold, emphasizing how quickly circumstances can change and how perceptions can shift. As the story of Ron and Nicole developed, the initial casualness of their relationship would be overshadowed by the tragic events that followed, leaving a lasting impact on those who knew them. According to the book Killing Time, the first full investigation into the unsolved murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, written by Donald Freed and Raymond P. Briggs in 1996, a significant piece of evidence emerged from the crime scene. Lipstick was found on Ron Goldman's cheek after his death. This detail added an intriguing layer to the already complex case, hinting at a possible connection between the victims and suggesting a personal or intimate nature to the events that unfolded on that tragic night. The presence of lipstick raised questions about the circumstances surrounding the murders and the relationships involved. Investigators and the public alike pondered the implications of this evidence, as it painted a picture of a violent confrontation that might have stemmed from deeper emotional ties. The discovery of such a personal item on a victim's body often leads to speculation about the motives behind the crime, making it a focal point in discussions about the case. The investigation into the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman remains one of the most publicized and controversial in American history, with many aspects still debated today. The lipstick evidence serves as a reminder of the complexities and emotional weight of the case, illustrating how seemingly small details can influence perceptions and theories about what truly happened that night. The narrative surrounding the murders continues to evoke strong reactions and discussions, highlighting the enduring impact of this tragic event on American culture and society. During an episode of Larry King Live, a significant moment unfolded when Ron Goldman's father called into the show, expressing his discontent with the book written by a certain author. This call highlighted the emotional turmoil surrounding the events of June 12, 1994. On that fateful evening, Ron was working as a server at Mezzaluna Trattoria, a well-known restaurant in Brentwood. It was a typical night until Nicole Brown Simpson, Ron's acquaintance, reached out to the restaurant. She called to inform them that her mother had accidentally left her reading glasses on the table where they had dined earlier that evening. Although Ron had not been the server for Nicole and her mother, he showed kindness and agreed to drop off the glasses at her home after finishing his shift. This simple act of goodwill would soon become part of a much larger and tragic narrative, intertwining the lives of those involved in a shocking crime that would capture national attention. The complexities of relationships, the unexpected turns of fate, and the aftermath of that night would resonate deeply in the discussions that followed, including those on platforms like Larry King Live. The emotions expressed by Ron's father during the interview served as a poignant reminder of the human cost of the events that transpired that night, illustrating how a single evening could alter lives forever. The implications of that night extended far beyond the immediate tragedy, affecting families, friends, and the public's perception of justice and celebrity. The story of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson became emblematic of a broader societal conversation about violence, fame, and the quest for truth in the face of overwhelming media scrutiny. After finishing his shift at work, Ron punched out at 9:33 p.m. He decided to stay for an extra 15 minutes to enjoy a bottled water at the bar. This brief moment of relaxation came before he returned the glasses to Nicole, who was likely busy with her own evening activities. Afterward, Ron made his way to his apartment located at 11663 Gorham Avenue in Brentwood. He had plans to meet up with Stuart Tanner, the bartender from Mezzaluna, later that evening. This social outing was something Ron looked forward to, as it provided a chance to unwind with a friend after a long day. Once he left his apartment, he walked approximately 10 minutes to Nicole's condominium. This short walk was a familiar route for him, one that connected his life with Nicole's in a meaningful way. The evening held the promise of companionship, and perhaps a lively conversation, making the night seem full of potential. Late at night, the scene at 875 South Bundy Drive unfolded in a way that would shock the nation. Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson were found brutally stabbed to death on the walkway leading to the condominium. Their bodies were discovered shortly after midnight, a grim sight that would soon capture the attention of law enforcement and the media alike. The police meticulously reconstructed the events leading up to the attack, and came to believe that Ron and Nicole were either engaged in conversation when they were ambushed, or that Ron had inadvertently walked in on an assault on Nicole. The evidence suggested that Nicole was the primary target of the attack, with Ron's murder being a calculated move to silence him. This tragic event marked the beginning of a highly publicized investigation that would delve into the complexities of domestic violence and the legal system. The implications of that night would resonate for years, influencing public perception and sparking discussions about justice, celebrity, and the darker sides of fame. While walking near Nicole's house that fateful night, a witness named Robert Heidstra heard a man yelling "Get 3 times." This alarming sound pierced the quiet evening, raising concerns about what was happening nearby. Shortly after, Heidstra heard another man shout back at the first man. This exchange of shouts drew attention to the tense situation unfolding in the vicinity of Nicole's home. Ron's family believes that Ron Goldman was the one who shouted "Hey" during this incident. They think he may have been trying to intervene in what he perceived as an attack on Nicole. This belief stems from the idea that Ron, known for his caring nature, would have acted instinctively to protect someone he cared about. The testimony of Heidstra adds a chilling layer to the events of that night, suggesting that Ron may have bravely tried to save Nicole from harm. The implications of this witness account resonate deeply with those who followed the case, as it paints a picture of a moment filled with desperation and courage. The details of the shouting create a vivid scene of conflict, reflecting the chaos that unfolded in those tragic moments. This account remains a significant piece of the narrative surrounding the events that led to the trial and the public's fascination with the case. The tension of that night, captured in the witness's words, continues to evoke strong emotions and provoke thought about the nature of bravery and the tragic outcomes of violence. Just 20 days shy of his 26th birthday, Ron Goldman was tragically killed, leaving behind a life that had barely begun to flourish. His burial took place at Pierce Brothers Valley Oaks Memorial Park in Westlake Village, California, a serene location that now marks the final resting place of a young man whose life was cut short. The Los Angeles Medical Examiner conducted an autopsy on June 14th, revealing the horrifying details of the attack he endured. The autopsy report indicated that Ron suffered multiple stab wounds inflicted by a sharp object, underscoring the brutality of the assault. The report detailed stab wounds across various parts of his body, including his neck, face, ears, chest, thigh, hands, forearm, and abdominal area. While some injuries might not have been fatal on their own, the wounds to his neck and torso were critical. The coroner noted significant damage to a major vein in Ron's neck, along with injuries to his lungs. Furthermore, internal bleeding in his abdomen contributed to the severity of his wounds. This tragic event not only shocked the community but also highlighted the violence that can occur in life. The autopsy report revealed significant details about Ron's final moments. It showed that Ron did not go down without a fight. The coroner found dozens of defensive wounds, primarily located on Ron's hands, face, and upper body. These findings indicate that he fought hard to defend himself against an attacker. The presence of these wounds suggests a struggle, highlighting Ron's determination to protect himself in a life-threatening situation. Each mark on his body tells a story of resistance and bravery. The defensive wounds are a testament to the physical confrontation he endured, reflecting the chaos and fear of that tragic encounter. The injuries serve as a grim reminder of the violence that unfolded, painting a vivid picture of Ron's last stand. This evidence from the autopsy underscores the seriousness of the incident and the desperate measures taken by Ron in an attempt to survive the attack. The details of these defensive wounds contribute to the understanding of the events that transpired during that fateful night. Following his highly publicized criminal trial, O.J. Simpson faced a civil suit brought by the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. In 1997, the jury found Simpson liable for wrongful death, leading to a significant verdict against him. The court awarded the Goldman and Brown families a total of $33.5 million in damages. Despite this ruling, Fred Goldman has consistently expressed frustration over the situation. He has stated in various interviews that O.J. Simpson has never paid either family a single penny of the judgment. This has left the families feeling that justice has not been fully served, as they have struggled to collect the awarded damages. The civil suit highlighted the differences between the criminal and civil legal systems, demonstrating how one can acquit an individual while the other can find them liable. The ongoing lack of payment has added to the family's pain and sense of injustice in the aftermath of such a tragic loss. The public trial of O.J. Simpson began in 1994, capturing the attention of millions across the United States and beyond. It revolved around the tragic killings of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. The trial lasted nearly 9 months, during which the prosecution presented a mix of circumstantial and physical evidence aimed at proving that Simpson was responsible for the deaths of both victims. Evidence included DNA samples, 911 calls, and testimonies from various witnesses. The defense, led by a high-profile team of lawyers, argued that the evidence was mishandled and that Simpson was the victim of a racially biased investigation. The trial was marked by dramatic moments, including the infamous glove demonstration and extensive media coverage that turned it into a spectacle. After much deliberation, the jury reached a controversial verdict, acquitting Simpson of all charges in October 1995. This outcome sparked widespread debate and highlighted issues of race, celebrity, and justice in America. In 1997, Fred Goldman, the father of Ron Goldman, filed a civil lawsuit against O.J. Simpson. The jury found Simpson liable for the wrongful death of Ron Goldman and awarded the Goldman family $33 million. This trial was significant not only for its outcome, but also for what it revealed about the American public's perception of justice. People across the United States watched the same trial, but reached completely different conclusions about Simpson's guilt or innocence. This divergence highlighted a deep racial divide in the country, particularly concerning the criminal justice system and police interactions. For many white Americans, the verdict was seen as a grave injustice, a belief that someone had evaded responsibility for a double homicide. In stark contrast, many in Black America held the view that the police were corrupt, and that Simpson had been unfairly framed. This perception was fueled by a broader belief that racism influenced the entire case, including the testimonies presented during the trial. The differing perspectives underscored how race shaped experiences with law enforcement and the judicial system, revealing profound societal rifts that continue to resonate today. In 2008, O.J. Simpson found himself in serious legal trouble again when he was convicted of armed robbery in Las Vegas. This incident was unrelated to his earlier, highly publicized murder trial in the 1990s. The robbery took place at a hotel, where Simpson and a group of men confronted two sports memorabilia dealers. They accused the dealers of having stolen items that Simpson claimed were rightfully his. The situation escalated, and Simpson was charged with multiple felonies, including armed robbery and kidnapping. During the trial, the atmosphere was charged with emotion, especially for the families affected by Simpson's earlier actions. Fred and Kim Goldman, the father and sister of Ron Goldman, who was murdered alongside Nicole Brown Simpson, attended the robbery trial. Their presence was significant, as it marked another chapter in their long struggle for justice related to Simpson. After the conviction, Fred Goldman expressed a sense of satisfaction. He described the moment as bittersweet, feeling that while justice was served in this instance, it did not erase the pain of their loss from years before. The robbery conviction added another layer to Simpson's controversial legacy and left a lasting impact on those who had suffered due to his past actions. In August 27, the rights to O.J. Simpson's book, If I Did It, were awarded to the Goldman family. This book presents a first-person account of how Simpson claimed he would have committed the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. The Goldman family had been engaged in a long legal battle to collect the proceeds from a multi-million-dollar civil jury award they received over a decade earlier. By acquiring the rights to the book, they ensured that they would benefit financially from it. The family was granted not only the proceeds from the book, but also the copyright, media rights, and movie rights associated with it. Additionally, they obtained Simpson's name, likeness, life story, and the right of publicity in connection with the book. This arrangement effectively prevented Simpson from profiting in any way from the publication, reinforcing the family's control over the narrative and financial aspects tied to the book. The Goldman family made a significant decision when they renamed the book If I Did It: Confessions of the Killer. This book was published in September 2007 through Beaufort Books. The original manuscript, which was written by O.J. Simpson, was controversial and sparked intense public debate. By renaming and publishing it, the Goldmans aimed to shed light on the tragic deaths of Nicole Brown and Ron Goldman, hoping to provide some form of closure or justice through the narrative. However, this decision was met with criticism, particularly from Denise Brown, Nicole's sister. Denise strongly opposed the Goldmans' actions, accusing them of profiting from the deaths of her sister and Ron. She expressed her discontent, stating that the book's publication felt exploitative and disrespectful to the memories of the victims. Denise believed that the focus should be on honoring their lives rather than making money from their tragic end. The situation highlighted the complexities surrounding the aftermath of high-profile cases and the differing perspectives of those affected by such tragedies. The publication of the book and the ensuing criticism sparked further discussions about morality, grief, and the ethics of profiting from personal loss. The tension between the Goldmans and Denise Brown illustrated the emotional turmoil that often accompanies public tragedies, as families navigate their pain while facing the scrutiny of the media and the public. The book's release was not just a literary event, it became a focal point for broader conversations about justice, accountability, and the lasting impact of violence on families and communities. When filmmaker Ezra Edelman won the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature for his film O.J. Made in America, he used his acceptance speech to honor the victims of the tragic events surrounding O.J. Simpson's life. He dedicated the award to both Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown, acknowledging the profound impact their stories had on the narrative of the documentary. Fred Goldman, Ron's father, was one of the key figures interviewed in the film, sharing his perspective on the loss of his son and the broader implications of the case. The documentary explored not just the infamous trial of O.J. Simpson, but also the cultural and social issues that arose during that time. Edelman's dedication highlighted the importance of remembering those who suffered as a result of the events, ensuring that their stories were not forgotten in the shadow of celebrity and media frenzy. The film aimed to provide a comprehensive look at the complexities surrounding the case and Edelman's tribute served as a poignant reminder of the human cost involved. The recognition at the Academy Awards brought renewed attention to these themes, emphasizing the need for reflection on justice and accountability. The dedication resonated with many, reminding audiences that behind the headlines were real people affected by tragedy. In an interview with Barbara Walters, Fred Goldman recounted a deeply unsettling experience that occurred shortly after O.J. Simpson's acquittal in the highly publicized murder trial of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. Fred Goldman, the father of Ron Goldman, shared that a stranger approached him with a chilling proposition. This individual offered to sell him an untraceable high-powered rifle, suggesting that he could use it to kill Simpson. Alternatively, the stranger proposed hiring someone to carry out the act for him. The sheer audacity and brutality of this suggestion left Fred Goldman appalled. He firmly refused the offer, highlighting the emotional turmoil and moral complexities surrounding the aftermath of the trial. This moment encapsulated the intense feelings and frustrations that many felt during that time, as the legal system's decisions left families grappling with their grief and anger. The encounter underscored the lengths to which some individuals might go in their desire for justice or revenge, reflecting the broader societal impact of the trial and its outcome. Fred Goldman's response emphasized his commitment to seeking justice through lawful means, rather than succumbing to violence. This narrative illustrates the profound effects of the trial on those directly involved, and the lingering questions of justice that remained in the community. In another interview with 2020, Kim Goldman, the sister of Ron Goldman, recounted a disturbing encounter she had with O.J. Simpson. This meeting took place sometime after Simpson's acquittal in the highly publicized murder trial. While driving through a parking lot in Los Angeles, Kim spotted Simpson. In that moment, a surge of emotions overwhelmed her. She briefly considered the idea of running him over as an act of vengeance for the pain and suffering caused by the loss of her brother. The thought of taking such drastic action reflected the deep anger and hurt she felt attendant. However, after a moment of reflection, she ultimately decided against it. This encounter highlighted the intense emotions surrounding the case and the lasting impact it had on the victims' families. Kim's experience serves as a reminder of the complex feelings that can arise from such tragic events, as well as the struggle between seeking justice and the desire for personal retribution. The weight of grief can lead individuals to contemplate actions they might not typically consider, revealing the profound effects of loss and trauma. Kim's decision to refrain from violence illustrates her inner conflict and the difficult path she continues to navigate in the aftermath of her brother's death. In 2022, Fred Goldman took a significant step by requesting a renewal of his previous judgment against O.J. Simpson. Goldman claimed that Simpson still owed him a staggering $96 million. This request was rooted in the long-standing legal and emotional battle following the tragic death of Goldman's son, Ron, which had cast a shadow over both their lives and the public discourse surrounding Simpson. When Simpson passed away in 2024, Fred Goldman made a poignant statement reflecting on the loss. He remarked that Simpson's death was no great loss to the world, but it served as a painful reminder of how much his son had been missed. This sentiment resonated deeply with those who had followed the case, as it highlighted the enduring impact of Ron's death on his family's life. Later, both Kim Goldman and Fred issued a joint statement, expressing that their hope for true accountability had come to an end. They took a moment to thank the public for keeping Ron in their hearts, emphasizing the ongoing struggle for justice and remembrance that had defined their journey. The complexities of loss, justice, and public memory intertwined in their reflections on Simpson's life and death, leaving an indelible mark on the narrative surrounding this tragic saga. Fred Goldman declared that he would continue to pursue justice for his son despite Simpson's attorney, stating that the Goldman family would receive nothing from the estate. This determination highlights the ongoing struggle faced by families seeking accountability and closure in the wake of violent crime. The Goldman family made a significant decision to contribute a portion of the proceeds from selling the controversial book, If I Did It, to the newly founded Ron Goldman Foundation for Justice. This foundation aims to provide grants to various organizations and programs that offer support to victims and survivors of violent crimes. By channeling funds into this foundation, the Goldman family not only seeks to honor Ron's memory, but also to assist others who have suffered similar tragedies. Their efforts reflect a commitment to ensuring that the voices of victims and their families are heard, and they work tirelessly to promote justice and healing in a world that often feels unjust. The foundation stands as a testament to their resilience and dedication to making a difference in the lives of those affected by violence. Mark Goldman is a notable supporter of the foundation that honors the memory of victims of violent crimes. As a Las Vegas executive, he plays a significant role in the foundation's efforts. His connection to the foundation is deeply personal, as he is the first cousin of Fred Goldman, who is known for his relentless pursuit of justice following the tragic death of his son, Ron Goldman. The foundation focuses on raising awareness about the impact of violent crime and supporting families affected by such tragedies. Mark's involvement brings not only financial support, but also a strong voice to the cause. His dedication reflects the commitment of family members who seek to turn their grief into action, advocating for change and support for others facing similar losses. The collaboration between Mark Goldman and the foundation showcases the importance of community and family in addressing the issues surrounding violence and its aftermath.